Hello, YouTube! Today, I will be telling you the majority of things you might want to know before watching Season 1 of the hit HBO TV show, Game of Thrones. It is also a book by George R.R. Martin called A Song of Ice and Fire. If you've not read the books, I recommend reading them. If you do not watch the show, I really recommend watching them. Both are very good. Now, because A Song of Ice and Fire and A Game of Thrones are such in-depth stories, this is going to run a little long. I will be telling you major events that happen. I will be leaving out some things because I deemed them not very important. I will not be going into great detail over characters. Some will be mentioned, but if you want to know more about the characters that are in the show and the book, you will have to watch when I do Season 1 of Game of Thrones. The Dawn Age. Now, a long time ago, nothing very interesting happened. There were some humanoid creatures known as the Children of the Forest, which looked like normal humans, only smaller. They lived with magical creatures, such as giants and direwolves, wargs, and grumpkins. Now, what's a grumpkin, you might ask? Well, so would I. If anyone can tell me, please let me know, because I'd really like to know. The First Men invade Westeros. After an unwritten and possibly uninteresting history of the Children of the Forest, a group of humans called the First Men invaded Westeros. After roughly 2,000 years of fighting, the First Men and the Children of the Forest decided enough was enough and a peace pact had to be made or it would be the death of them all. The Age of Heroes. The Long Night. 2,000 years later, during this time of peace and generally boring times, many of the major houses of Westeros started to appear. Suddenly, one day, the sun went down, and it just never came back, covering the land in darkness and cold. And with the cold came the others. Or the White Walkers. It really depends on who you ask. Now, there are White Walkers and there are Whites. Whites are mindless beings bent on serving their masters. The White Wait, Gandalf? Anyways, after nearly a generation of fighting, the dawn finally came, and the First Men and the Children of the Forest managed to push the others to the farthest corners of the north. Founding of the Wall. After the others were defeated, a man named Bran the Builder thought, oh man, I would really hate if that happened again. So, Bran, the Children of the Forest, and giants raised what is now known as the Wall, a 700-foot-high wall of ice and stone, populated by what is called the Night's Watch. After building the wall, Bran the Builder's need was not quite satisfied, so he built himself a stronghold and named it Winterfell, and he became the first king in the north. The Night's King. After populating the Night's Watch, one of the Lord Commanders crowned himself the Night's King, causing countless atrocities to happen. It took the combined forces of the Starks and Joramun, the king beyond the wall, to defeat the Night's King and return honor to the Night's Watch. It is said that Joramun found the Horn of Winter, which was said to raise giants from the earth. The Andal Invasion. Now, following the trends of things happening approximately every 2,000 years, the Andal Invasion happened. The Andals, much like the First Men, only they came second, and they came with steel and iron weapons instead of bronze. They came because their gods, or God, commanded them to. The Andals crossed the narrow sea and went to war with the First Men and the Children of the Forest. Nearly all of Westeros fell to the Andals and their gods. Some of the First Men bent the knee to the Andals and were given reign over the north. But the Children of the Forest, the giants, the wargs, the direwolves, and the grumpkins— no, seriously, what's a grumpkin? —were all pushed back to beyond the wall. After another 2,000 years, the Iron Islands fell to the Andals, but they were allowed to keep their beliefs in the old ways and the drowned god. The Age of Valyria. 1,000 years before the Iron Islands fell, on an eastern continent, in a peninsula area called the 14 Fires, named for the chain of volcanoes extending across the lands. The Valerians discovered dragons, and magic found its way into the world. And 5 great wars were fought between the Giscard Empire and the freeholds of Valeria. Needless to say, the Valerians won. I mean, come on, dragons and magic? After the last of the wars, the freehold cities destroyed the Giscard capital, slaying its people and burning its cities, causing the empire to shatter. Then, nothing really interesting happened until about 3,300 years after the fall of the Iron Islands. During the Roinar invasion, a prince named Garin the Great arose an army some claim to be 250,000 strong to oppose the Valerians and to claim the lands as their own. But the dragons, being dragons, made quick work of Garin and his armies. As Garin and his armies burned, a Roinish warrior queen named Nymeria, no, not that one, evacuated women and children on thousands of ships across the narrow sea, seeking refuge in Dorne, the southernmost kingdom of Westeros, where she married Lord Morris Martell, and together they organized Dorne into one kingdom, with the Martells as lords of the land. This unification under Nymeria and Morris Martell leads to conflict within the kingdom of the Reach and the Stormland, expressed through raids and the occasional war. About 500 years later, the Valerian freehold annexes a small island on the mouth of the Blackwater Bay on the east coast of Westeros. We introduce the Targaryens, a Valyrian noble family who take control of the island, building a castle in the shape of, you guessed it, a dragon, and being the imaginative bunch that they were, named the island Dragonstone. The Doom of Valyria. No one is quite sure just how Valyria was destroyed. My guess is because they lived so close to 14 volcanoes. But nonetheless, the Valerian Peninsula was destroyed, with the capital gone, along with most of the dragons. The various city-states broke apart and sought their own independence, surviving to be the Free Cities and the cities of Slaver Bay. Nearly 100 years after the Free Cities are established, Braavos jumps out from behind a bush that it was hiding in and reveals itself to the other cities, and eventually became the most powerful of the Free Cities due to its vast fleet and economical power. Meanwhile, the warrior nomads of the Eastern Plains become more aggressive by the fall of the Valerians. Their dominant tribe, the Dothraki, begin raiding and surrounding the lands, while the Targaryens remain safe on Dragonstone, with possibly the last 3 dragons in all of the Western world. Thank you for watching part 1 of my precap of Game of Thrones. Part 2 will be out soon. Subscribe to my channel for more precaps and recaps of your favorite video games, movies, books, and TV shows. Do you have a story you want recapped? Would you like to know more about a game, movie, or book? Do you not want to do the work yourself? Send me an email to recaprequest@gmail.com with a request for my next video, and who knows, maybe I'll do yours soon.